Hey, sixth grade, we're going to do some review of mixed numbers. We're going to be adding and subtracting mixed numbers today. These are some really important skills that we need to refresh on sometimes. So to start off, we have a mixed number. So this is 4 3/4. And remember, we want to think of this as a bunch of pies or pizzas that have 4 pieces. So I'm going to draw 5 of them. There we go. They each have, we don't want dog stickers yet. And each of them have 4 pieces because we're dealing with fourths. So that 3/4 tells us how many pieces we want in our pies. These are supposed to be equal, but that one was pretty good. And when we fill in, so the 4 whole pies, all right, so this is 1 whole. So notice there are 4 pieces. Here's another 4. So 2 wholes represent 8 pieces. Another 4. And another 4. So those 4 wholes, if we multiply those 4 by 4 pieces, that gives us 16 pieces equals 4 wholes. And our fraction part, the 3/4, right? We will shade in 3 of the 4. So that is 3 more pieces. So in order to make this an improper fraction, we could add up all the pieces. So our 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 3, and that would give us 19 fourths. So it's just a good refresher to help understand mixed numbers and improper fractions. Okay, when we're adding mixed numbers, there are 2 main steps that you can take. You can convert each mixed number to an improper fraction at the beginning, or you don't have to do that at all. So for some of you will like the blue steps, some of you will like the green steps, and I will walk through both methods. So for the blue steps, step 1, again, convert each mixed number to an improper fraction. Step 2, find a common denominator. Step 3, add the numerators. And step 4, simplify if necessary. Option 2 is to find a common denominator right away, add up the fractions, and we might need to carry. So if our fractions add up to an improper fraction, we would need to carry that over to the whole number. And step 4 would be to add the whole numbers. So either option is fine. If you like the blue way, that's great, or the green way. Oh, and of course, simplify if necessary. So for number 1, I'm going to start with the blue method. I'm going to make them improper fractions. So 3 2/5. Well, I know that we're going to be dealing with fifths, so my denominator is going to stay 5. And 3 wholes times 5 pieces gives me 15, plus these 2 left over give me 17 fifths. And here, 5 1/3, my denominator is 3. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 1 is 16. So I have made them improper fractions. The next thing I need to do is find my common denominator. So I know that 5 and 3 can go into 15 evenly. So my new denominator is 15. If I'm not sure how to find the least common multiple, I need to make factor trees. I can't just change the denominator, I have to change the numerator as well. So to get from 5 to 15, I multiplied by 3. So I have to do that with the 17. So I'm multiplying the 17 and the 5 by 3. So that's where I end up with 51. To get from the 3 to 15, I need to multiply by 5. So here I'm going to do 16 times 5. That will give me 80 fifteenths. So I have changed both of the fractions to have a denominator of 15, but the value doesn't change. So now I have 51 fifteenths plus 80 fifteenths. And if I add up 51 and 80, I get 131 over 15. This is a perfectly acceptable answer, but if I wanted to, I could make this a mixed number. I know that 15 goes into 131 8 times without going over, because 8 times 15 is 120, and that means there are 11 left over. So either one of those answers is perfectly fine. If I did the green method, I would say, all right, 3 2/5 plus 5 1/3. And I would find my common denominator right away, which is still going to be 15. So this would turn into 3 6/15 plus 5 5/15. So to change 2/5 to 6/15, I multiplied both of those numbers by 3, and I changed 1/3 to 5/15 by multiplying both of those by 5. Now that I have my mixed numbers, I can add up the fractions. 6/15 plus 5/15 is 11/15, and I can add up the whole numbers. 3 plus 5 gives me 8. So there are definite pros and cons to either of those methods. Okay, move on to a tougher one. So for number 1, I think the green method was a little easier. For numbers 2 and 3, you might find that the blue method works better. Okay, 4 3/4 turns into 19 over 4, because 4 times 4 is 16, plus 3 is 19, and my denominator stays the same. Plus 6 2/3 turns into 20 thirds. I need a common denominator. I know that 3 and 4 can go into 12. Multiply 19 and 4 by 3, and multiply 20 and 3 by 4. So now I have 57 twelfths plus 80 twelfths, which gets me a grand total of 137 over 12. This answer is perfectly fine, but I can also say that 12 goes into 137 11 times, because 11 times 12 is 132, and I have 5 left over. So that would be great. Switching to green. So 4 3/4 plus 6 2/3. So this goes to 4 9/12. Multiply both of those by 3. Plus 6 8/12. Multiply both of those by 4. And when I add up the fractions now, 9/12 plus 8/12, I get 17/12. And that is an improper fraction. So we are going to have to make that a mixed number. So I know that 12 can fit into 17 one whole time, and there will be 5 left over. So I have 1 5/12, and now all I need to do is add up my whole numbers. 4 plus 6 plus 1, and I get a final of 11 5/12. So because I had to carry and convert my 17/12 into a mixed number, the green method was a little bit more complicated. Okay, for number 3, I am just going to show the green method because I think the improper fraction way is pretty consistent. So I am going to find a common denominator of 6 and 5, which in this case is going to be 30. I'm going to multiply the 5 and the 6 by 5 to get 25 thirtieths. And this 4 and 5 get multiplied by 6 to get 24 thirtieths. Don't forget your whole numbers. So now I have 2 and 25 thirtieths plus 1 and 24 thirtieths. So 25 plus 24 is going to get us 49 thirtieths. I know 30 fits into 49 one whole time. There are 19 left over. I need to add up the whole numbers, 2 plus 1 plus 1. So I get a final answer of 4 and 19 thirtieths. All right, moving on to subtraction. Again, there's going to be two methods. The blue method is to convert each mixed number to an improper fraction. So these steps will be very similar, except we are subtracting the numerators instead of adding. And for option 2, again similar, find a common denominator, subtract the fractions, but we might have to borrow. So we will go through those on questions 5 and 6. Okay, so we're going to go blue and green again. So the blue method is to make improper fractions. 8 times 5 is 40, plus 7 is 47. So we have 47 eighths, minus 2 and 3 fifths, which is 13 fifths. And we're going to need to find our common denominator. So 8 and 5 can both go into 40. Multiply 47 and 8 by 5, and we get 235 fortieths, minus multiply the 13 and 5 by 8, and we get 104 fortieths. So 235 minus 104 gives us an answer of 131 fortieths. And if we want to make that a mixed number, I know that 40 goes into 131 3 whole times. There are 11 left over. To the green method, we can find a common denominator right away. So we have 5 and 7 eighths minus 2 and 3 fifths. So my common denominator is still 40. So multiply both the 7 and the 8 by 5. And multiply the 3 and the 5 by 8. So now I have 5 and 35 fortieths minus 2 and 24 fortieths. So if I subtract 35 minus 24, that gives me 11 fortieths. And I can do 5 minus 2, which gives me 3. So when you don't have to borrow, the green method is a little quicker and the numbers are a little smaller. All right, number 5. Do the blue and green method one more time. 6 and 2 fifths turns into 32 fifths minus 15 fourths. Common denominator is 20. Multiply the 32 and the 5 by 4 to get 128 twentieths, and multiply the 15 and the 4 by 5 to get 75 twentieths. So I probably prefer the blue method just because it always works. So 128 minus 75, that gives us 53 over 20, which we can convert to 2 and 13 twentieths. Moving to the green, 6 and 2 fifths minus 3 and 3 fourths. Common denominator is 20. So our issue here is we are trying to do 8 minus 15, but we can't do that. So we are going to have to borrow from our whole number. So this 6 is going to turn into a 5 because we are borrowing one whole and moving it to our numerator. Because our denominator is 20, that means that 20 20ths is going to equal one whole. So we need to add 20 to our 8. So our mixed number turns into 5 and 28 20ths. So I took one whole from the 6 and I moved it to the numerator by adding 20 or adding the denominator. And I rewrite the 3 and 15 20ths the same. So now I can do my subtraction. I can do 28 minus 15, which is 13 20ths, and 5 minus 3, which is 2. And we've been in good shape because our blue and green answers have matched up. Last question, I am only going to do the green method. So 4 and 1/3, that turns into 4 and 4/12. So I multiply the 1 and the 3 by 4, minus 2 and 9/12. So I multiplied the 3 and the 4 by 3. I cannot do 4 minus 9, so I need to borrow. So this is going to turn into a 3. And because we're dealing with 12ths this time, we're going to add 12 to our numerator. So it turns into 3 and 16 twelfths. One whole went from the whole number to the fraction. Minus 2 and 9 twelfths. So 16 minus 9 is 7 twelfths. 3 minus 2 is 1. I know this was a long video. Hope you find these problems easy. Pick a method that you like and stick with it.